Alright. What we watch today? The Problem with Being Full of Potential by I Am Apollo. Maybe so you must say.
How many times throughout your life have you been told that you have a lot of potential? Whether you're starting a new endeavor or just someone trying to cheer you up, being told that you have a lot of potential can seem like one of the best compliments you can receive, especially if you're feeling lost and just need some sort of direction in life. No longer do you have to constantly question yourself if you're even doing something correctly.
Why video them start so fast? Wait, let me see something. Video them must start fast.
My bad.
How many times throughout your life have you been told that you have a lot of potential? How many times throughout your life have you been told that you have a lot of potential? Whether you're starting a new endeavor or
How many times? How many times?
just someone trying to cheer you up, being told that you have a lot of potential can seem like one of the best compliments you can receive, especially if you're feeling lost and just need some sort of direction in life. No longer do you have to constantly question yourself if you're even doing something correctly or if this is even the right thing for you to do, because you see that you have an immense amount of support of people telling you, hey, you have a lot of potential in this and I can see you going far, or you're going to be great, you're going to be successful, and all these different terms.
I say you grow good pitney for you, you know? Positive reinforcement. I eat that. I don't know that, but something like that for you. It's so like that.
Terms that gets thrown around. So you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, Apollo, like, how is this a bad thing? How is someone getting praise on their personal development and their goals ultimately a scary or even a bad thing? And that is exactly what I'm going to break down in today's video. Not only just talking about the different layers of why it is not actually a compliment, and if anything, it's a little bit more of an insult if we're being honest with each other, and how it actually can be holding you back instead of propelling you forward. So if you are a person that has been told that you have a lot of potential in whatever you're doing, this video is definitely for you, because I'm not gonna lie to you, at first I was in the same boat of thinking it's a compliment, but it's actually a lot deeper than a lot of people think. So with all that being said, let's get right into the video. Imagine two people are told they're meant for the stage. The lights are on, the room is empty, and the first person steps out there, unprepared, nervous, and starts performing anyway. The second person stays in their seat, waiting for the moment they feel ready. They rehearse the idea of greatness in their head constantly 24/7, but years later the stage is still empty. But the fantasy felt real the whole time. This is a scenario that we see play out so many times, of just feeling like you get this constant approval of people telling you that you have a lot of potential in whatever you're doing in, and especially if it's a big group of people telling you over, a short period of time, it can almost
What me think is that can work, but it have to be from your young, like from your little pitney, and it have to come from like your parents. So like I feel like if it come from your parents when you go out into the world, it not gonna be as like, oh, people are say this moment, because it gonna just be like, oh, regular thing. Me know that from young, me know that from me. It's like it would be like news to you, but like when you go out and people say, yo, say a dude, say that, and then you start thinking about, oh, some kind of good, and then you overthink it. But when you have it from a young, like as a child, and you come up, it's like I just second nature, anything. So you just gonna become like, okay, this just normal to me. So even when people come and compliment you, you're gonna take the compliment, yes, but you're not gonna get to your head because it's not go that deep to you, if you get what I say. Some things say if it start from like super like young in your home, it not gonna be it not gonna be a hindrance. Oh boy, anyways.
feel like you have this ticket to success, that now you don't necessarily need to push as hard. If you were thinking about staying up just a little bit later past your bedtime to work on a project and get it done, matter of fact, that can wait till the morning because I'm already going to be successful. I'm already locked in. We're good on that. Or if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I actually really want to try out this new idea. Matter of fact, I can wait till like next week. Matter of fact, next month. Let's try it on.
Pause again. If that, like, if anything, even if your parents do it so good, like when you're young, you go want work because you go say like, I am this person and this so in order to keep being this person, I go do this or I go work. So you're not gonna even. Sometimes people don't want to do it that regular. Some it can't bother more while. But I go say like, like 9 out of not 9, like 8 out of no, not 7 out of 10 times you go do the work because it gonna be like, this is me. We do the work. Like the reinforcement from a young guy that could just, you get what me I say?
The next month on the 1st, it doesn't matter because ultimately I'm going to succeed in it anyway. This very much can play into the ego's fantasy, especially when you're trying something new and you don't really know exactly what you want to do. It feels like whenever you do find something that a lot of people can give you validation in, it means that you found something. At the very least, there is something that somebody might see in you that you might not see in yourself yet. And in a sea of so many things that you can try in this world, to be able to get constant approval in one, it can boost one's ego. It very well can boost one's ego and make it feel like, you know what? Yeah, actually, I don't need to do as much. You know, like you start kind of hyping yourself up as if like you're the only one that has that potential in whatever it is, maybe a sports, content creation and whatnot. Having this constant approval in anything really, but especially when it comes to potential, is endless. I mean, it's in the name itself. Whenever you have a good amount of potential, like in something, it's limitless. You can think of exactly whatever it is that you want. You can think of yourself of, you know what, I could probably see myself potentially making, if we're putting this in like financial terms, I can see myself making like 80K a year. But saying if you constantly get this approval of, yeah, man, like you have a lot of potential when it comes to this and that, ultimately there's no ceiling on it. But if you kind of use it as a way to cope with just not taking the actions you need to take and kind of allowing yourself to be a lot more lazy, we see this definitely a lot where like someone has a lot of potential, so it seems like they don't necessarily need to, you know, do the little details, versus the individual who might not have been told they have a lot of potential. They might be, you know, you kind of see this story of like the guy on the come up who everyone kind of overlooks, but ultimately because he puts in the work and he understands that at the end of the day, potential is nothing. Like potential is cool to say that you have potential. It's cool to be told that you have this, but ultimately if you're not utilizing this potential and actually putting it to work, then there's no point in it. The cold reality of the situation, and what I realized like learning this, researching this video, was that the people that we look at, let's say for example like the Michael Jordans, the LeBrons of the world, yes, I'm using basketball terms, but take whoever is great in the field that you want to be great in. The way that we talk about these people, we don't talk about LeBron, oh man, he has a lot of potential, or yeah man, MJ, he had a lot of, like, no, we talk about them as they are established, they're hardworking, they're dedicated, they love their craft, they're obsessed. We use
So that man say, see if you get talked to like that when you're young, this quote unquote potentially not gonna be potentially to you. I'm not that. It not gonna be potential to you because this are gonna be. This is just what you do. This is you want to be this like you are this person because your parents tell you say from a young like be 2, 3, I get like anytime you do something good, so it just like it roll up and till it build up into your personality to where you're this person, right? And anything you do, even if you're not if you're not something there, even if you're not top in it, you're gonna do it and say, oh, me are this person, because that's just the frame of mind where you go, you know, because it could just build up from your young. I remember what me that say, but continue. Probably will go back to you with them and get it back.
These different terminologies to describe them, and the big reason why is because ultimately they fulfilled their potential. A lot of like, no, we talk about them as they are established, they're hardworking, they're dedicated, they love their craft, they're obsessed. We use these different terminologies to describe them, and the big reason why is because ultimately they fulfilled their potential. They utilized it. They didn't just stay as someone who had this potential and you're kind of, you know, you always have to keep an eye on them. Like that is not really a compliment. You know, that's not something that is really compliment worthy, especially.
Yeah, it kind of sound like you're fragile, like him have it, you know, but you have to watch him. Him have it, but you have to watch him for real. You have to watch him. Whereas if you're like hardworking with the quote unquote potential, they're not gonna look and say, oh, you have potential, you know, I'm gonna say, yo, that you are putting in work, that you are.
Especially if you are an individual who, let's say, if you want to go and take it to like the normal, let's just say your normal day-to-day life, because I know we're talking about like sports and whatnot and, you know, LeBron, MJ, but even if you look at in your career field, if you have somebody who, let's say you've been in this kind of junior position for like 3 years at this point, and in the beginning of your job you were told, hey man, you have a lot of potential when it comes to this, I hope you actually,
Pause again,
you know,
pause again. Like somebody that say have potential is like them see you like do something big and major, like a one-off thing, and them say, you know say my put or them say do like 3 thing, like, you know say my potential, but then if somebody see you do like every day, pop pop pop, every day you consistently hit that goal, they pop pop pop, them not gonna say yo you have potential, them gonna say yo that you are hardworking, and probably that are the difference. How potential can be like, or saying you have potential can be not so much of a compliment, because it's like, oh, you know, you can't go there for real, other than, yo, him a put in the work, him a pop, him a hit the mark every time, pop. I want him not hit it, him still a go at it, hardworking.
Realize your potential. By all means, it's good. You get that ego boost, you feel good, you know, you're ready to do your work and whatnot. And then 3 years pass by and you're still the same. You're still in the same position. You're still setting these smaller type of goals. And ultimately, you're not really pushing your boundaries. You're not really pushing yourself to actually achieve good things. Let's say in that case, you get another compliment by people saying, man, you just have a lot of potential. At some point, it gets to a point where you're like, hold on, like, this means nothing. It's just words. It's just a compliment that I might have took to my head too much, to where I didn't do what I needed to do if I wanted to progress. In today's age, we are so thirsty to throw around the "you fell off" tag. Whether it comes to artists and their record numbers, or maybe even your personal life, or even in sports, feeling like when someone doesn't perform their rookie season, they're immediately labeled as a bust. Whatever it is, ultimately we are so quick to throw this around, and you might be kind of thinking to yourself, okay, well, Apollo, what does this have to do with the potential? Saying that you have a lot of potential kind of means that you're at the bottom of the totem pole. You have something to work with, but falling off means that you had to have been put on to actually have fell off in the first place. And while at first I definitely agreed with you, ultimately the two can definitely intertwine, especially when one is filled with a lot of potential. Maybe they're doing content creation or sports, or once again just doing something in their career field, and having this fear of falling off and being told by a lot of people that maybe once praised them. They might have had a lot of praise and a lot of comments and a lot of just glowing faces telling them that they're on the way up and they're successful. Having this fear of the same people not showing you love, starting to ghost you, starting to switch up, and kind of seeing your life shift, getting out of the sunlight, so to speak, when it comes to your time to shine. It is this fear is why a lot of people do not actually fulfill the potential that they have. Not in the sense of their actual potential that they might have been told, but maybe their own version of what they had in terms of potential. So what I mean by this is that when you are constantly being told that you have a lot of potential by people, it can in a way feel like invisible handcuffs. It can almost feel like because you have so much approval by people, and you don't want to let anybody down, especially if you're like a people pleaser, if you have trouble kind of, you know, seeing people upset, it can feel like you have to stick to something just because everybody else is giving you praise, and you don't want to disappoint that person. And this is something that we see all the time in day-to-day life. I mean, if you probably remember back in school, we all knew that one tall person who was like 6'2", and we all thought either played basketball or maybe was, you know, that should have played sports, but ultimately was into something like video games or like drawing. And you kind of, you know, we might look at that person and be like, bro, you should be hooping right now. Like, what are you doing? But that's not what they actually want to do. And in that case, imagine if that person who has been constantly told all their life, yeah, man, you have a lot of potential when it comes to basketball, and I think you should give it a chance, but you know that this is something that you don't want to do. Then when you actually, you know, try to do it, then you feel like you have to kind of stick to it because everybody is giving this approval. Everyone is loving you. Hey, man, you know, dapping.
Yeah, that's why in the idea, you have to just always do what you want for you.
You up and giving you everything that you kind of wanted. And even though it can feel like you're losing out on that, losing out on this approval when you choose yourself in this situation, you're not. Now that, if you choose to fulfill the potential that you see within yourself instead of what someone might see in you, that's when you're able to meet the right people. That is when you're able to impress the right people and to actually cultivate good relationships with the people, the things, and what the places in life that you need to be in, because that's in alignment with you. As opposed to fulfilling somebody else's version of what you can be, now you're surrounded by people who are showing you like fake support. Like now you feel lonely. Now you feel like you're just kind of wasting your time in your life. And especially if you're in your youth where all you have is time, like really all you have is a lot of time and upside to take whatever risk you want to take. Now, by the time, let's say you want to take that risk, let's say for like 10 years, I don't know, you were teaching or something, you were doing something you did not want to do. And now that you have a lot of this responsibility, naturally the course of getting older, now you have kids, you got a mortgage, you got all these different things that you settled into your lifestyle that you didn't even want. And now it's much harder to break away from that. It's much harder to pursue what you want to do because now you have to think about your kid. You have to think about maybe, the place that you're living and the work you're doing and the colleagues that you made and promises, and you end up getting trapped in this life that you didn't even want in the first place simply because you were fulfilling somebody else's potential. And by all means, I completely understand as to why someone would be in this position. I mean, ultimately, if someone has invested into you, especially if it's like financially, so like in this case, it could be a parent or a mentor or somebody, it can be hard to break away from it because you have all these strings attached to something that you don't even care about. But it is that feeling of disservice. It feels like you're doing your other people a disservice when you're not fulfilling, their potential of what they see in you, but ultimately you're doing yourself a disservice. You are doing yourself a disservice by continuously living that life that isn't aligned with you, that feels just inauthentic, that feels like you just are constantly burnt out and you just want to escape from. Every day that you choose to not live how you genuinely, authentically want to live and fulfill the potential that you have within yourself, it is another day that you are simply just deserving yourself. It is a day that you're disrespecting yourself and just choosing somebody else over you. So this entire video, I've basically been talking about the negative effects of this compliment of just, you have a lot of potential, you're oozing with potential. And I've been talking about not only just the personal effects it can cause, but also like the societal pressure and just fall off culture and just basically everything else. But I wanted to dedicate this section to talking about how you can actually utilize this to your advantage, because I believe that with anything else, just like anything else really, you can utilize it to your advantage if used correctly. And as a person that has, kind of gotten these compliments, whether it's in my YouTube videos or even in my personal life, I have been on both sides of it where I had let it boost my ego and feel like I didn't necessarily have to put in any work and that I was kind of just already ticketed in to success. But as of recently, just making this video and thinking more upon this topic, I've actually come to realize how I can use this to my advantage and, not let it boost my ego and actually use it as more of a compass as to where I want to go. One of the first things that helped me realize this is that everybody has gotten this compliment before. I think a lot of times whenever we get this compliment, especially if it's like in a friend group setting or just like a smaller setting in general, it can almost feel like you're the only one in the world that got this compliment and that, man, like, you're just special, you're the chosen one, like you get it tatted on your back like LeBron.
You're not. You are not. Especially in your own life, to your own self. But
like you basically are just like the LeBron of your hometown, but ultimately that is not the case. Like you really everyone has potential. Like I think when you realize that, like everybody has potential, and sure, you might not see it because you might not know that person enough to know like, oh man, they actually have potential in this and that and this, or whatever the case may be. Everybody has potential. So when you kind of neutralize the playing field like that and realize that we're all just essentially like eggs, like imagine we're all eggs, we're all chicks and eggs, and we're all kind of like, trying to hatch. Everybody is starting from, ground zero. Everybody has the potential to do whatever it is that, they want to do. And ultimately the skill sets and the gifts that they've been gifted with, those things come into play as well. So I think having this mindset of like everybody has potential, it definitely takes away kind of like that glamorized, like, oh my goodness, I'm kind of like special feeling. Like, no, bro, like you're really not. So it helps you kind of realize, okay, if I want to actually get to where I want to go, I need to take action. I need to actually set up a plan, and need to follow through on that plan. Just as in this book, Atomic Habits, you know, if you probably read the book, where it talks about how the difference between successful people and unsuccessful
I'm gonna finish it, but I'm gonna start.
Successful people and unsuccessful people, they both have the same dreams. Truth be told, they can both dream the same things. It's not that people who are failures in life and people who are bums, it's not
Meg, let me tell you the difference. One of them believe more. One of them believe.
like they don't have goals. It's not like they have high aspirations of what they want in their life. It's that ultimately they don't have systems. They don't have systems in place for them to actually utilize that potential and to take action on a day-to-day basis. So allowing yourself to realize, okay, we're all kind of the same, like we're all in the same playing field. Now you can look at, how am I gonna jump from this place of having a lot of potential to now being a person that is actually utilizing that. And another thing that I found as well, and this is especially key if you're doing something like content creation or music or just anything regarding having to be kind of more in the public and just getting constant either approval or being able to be commented on your work to such a high volume such as the internet, is realizing that positive comments actually do a little bit more harm than negative comments, which is funny because you hear all the time of people saying,
not even wait for him, try that. No. How way you do with the comment, as me say, if the foundation already built from a younger, or you can't even build it over time, that it could just be like reinforcement. You're not gonna be like, oh, I got this already. Even if he might say it all, like some, it's not gonna be like that. It'll be like, yeah, for real. Keep it pushing, regular day.
negative comments are the ones that you need to watch out for, and those things be, kind of derailing a lot of people. But I think it's ultimately the positive comments. It's the comments.
You know, if you look like, say, me, I said, don't take the comment, don't like appreciate the comment. Appreciate it, yes, but you have to appreciate it as a from a point of view, like, okay, hey, he might talk the truth, and he must say what me did I say in my mind to himself. So it's a good thing.
Of constantly getting approval and praise is why someone might say the same, is because they feel like, okay, well, people are loving this, let me not change it up, let me not evolve. So you end up kind of staying the same, and because you stay the same, you kind of just stall out. You eventually become stale. I mean, we see this with musicians all the time where, they get put on with a certain sound, they stick with it forever, and they just slowly become irrelevant because people get tired of that. People want growth, people want movement, people want evolution. Getting these positive comments, while it can definitely be, once again, a good indicator of you're doing something correct, I think if you lean too much into it, especially, let's be real, if you're a person who might have not gotten a lot of compliments growing up, it can feel like that's all you want. You're doing something solely for the external praise of it, that you end up just doing whatever it is that you're doing strictly for that. So even if it doesn't align with what you genuinely want to do, you stick with it because it's like, well, I don't get approval in my real life. The only time I get really any type of praise is from people online. So you know what? I'm going to stick to online. I'm going to stick to what works, even though every time I log on this computer, I absolutely hate my life. Click the video on the screen to watch more content like this. And
all right. Good video. Good video. But when you hear me think, what only think about the video, let me know. Subscribe.